Hello everybody, in this video we're going to create these free iOS app screens in Figma. And by the way, this is actually a preview from one of my recent Figma course which I just released. So this is going to be directly in the course, and if you're interested, feel free to click in the link in the description. But now without further ado, let's jump directly into the video, and we're going to explore all of the nuances and all of the elements which are needed in this workflow in order to create these screens from scratch. Alright, so let's get started and let's create this iOS app. So the very first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to create a frame. And by the way, I just opened a new Figma document, so I haven't really touched anything. So we're going to just select one of these frames. Let's go with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And what we're gonna do is we're going to start and adding some text on the top. So we're going to say, hello, Mark. What are you looking for? So that we have a base, and I'm also going to use the K shortcut in order to access the scale tool. Alternatively, you can simply select over here on scale. And as you noticed, there is an issue here which I'm going to solve. And let's go ahead and let's change the font to Lato, and we're going to make it either bold or heavy. Yeah, let's go with heavy for the moment. And I'm also going to add a little bit of more line height, since I like to have that kind of like make the text breathe a little bit more. And the very next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to create a search bar right here, and we're going to go all the way rounded in this specific instance. And let's center all of this. And actually, before we move forward, one thing that we can definitely do is to add a layout grid, or even better, some columns, in order to have some sort of focus points. And we can go with just a simple one of 4. Let's add the margins. And again, guys, whenever you're creating a new design from scratch, if you're not developing it, it's going to be really helpful to actually talk with the developer directly and really understand if the initial grid which you're structuring the design on is going to be helpful, and it's actually working on their part from the development point of view, since you don't want to figure it out after you created maybe like 30 screens and you're going to send over this document to the developer, and maybe it has some issues, maybe it's built on a previous platform which already had some constraints and stuff like that. So talking from experience here, it's just something which you want to kind of keep your eyes on. So that being said, let's go ahead and let's actually start adding a little bit of color here. We're going to go with some sort of a blue tint, maybe not fully opaque or not fully saturated. And for this one right here, we're going to go with somewhat of a text around these lines. All right, starting to look okay. We're going to duplicate this. I used the Alt keyboard shortcut in order to create this duplicate really quickly. We're going to also select this option, which is the auto width, since I don't want to have like this entire box around the text each and every time I am selecting, especially since this one is smaller text. I don't want to have a lot of stuff going on around it. Now let's go over here, Nucleo, and what did I select here? Let's go back, and I'm going to search for a search icon, and let's add it here. And as you can see, Nucleo usually has this frames by default. So basically this icon is within a frame, but I don't really want it since I only want like one single frame. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply going to select the option to unframe this, which you can really find it here, but I usually use the shortcut Shift, Command, and G to unframe it real quick. So must have been there somewhere, but yeah, I'm just so used to the shortcuts, and it's something which I highly recommend you to get in the habit as well, since shortcuts can really help you save a ton of time. So that's that. Let's bring this one here, and we're also going to add a filters icon. And I'm probably going to go with a filter around these lines, either one or the other. Yeah, this will work. Actually, let's go with the circle one, since I want a more circle theme. And again, you can see the frames. Just remove the frame over here, and we're going to add this filters icon, which is going to have 2 different colors. Let's deep select these elements, and I think we are in a good spot right now. All right, so far so good. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add some tags below this search bar. So we're going to give the user both the ability to search via the search bar, but also we're going to give them some initial tags which can help them basically save some time and pre-filter some searches. So we're going to name here education. Let's just create the very first tag, and then we're going to take care of the other ones. And for these tags, for this tag in particular, I want to go almost all the way to the top, and probably going to make this one bold, just because I like the feeling of it a little bit better. And let's zoom out. I kind of have like a bird's eye perspective on this. Maybe let's make it a little bit smaller. Not really feeling it at this scale. And bear in mind that usually when you're designing iOS apps, you will have to essentially keep in mind that there isn't like a lot of space on the screen in real estate. So you have to take that in consideration and create a solution which is usable. And the easiest way to see if the proportions and the text and the buttons in your web app, in your iOS app or Android app for that matter, or usable, is simply to download a JPEG version of the screen and send it over to your smartphone, and then you can try it out, and you're going to have a feeling for it right away, so you can then tweak it directly in Figma. So let's go ahead here, let's change this one. So now let's continue over here, let's create these 2 tags. And I'm actually going to give them 10% opacity, and I'm actually going to use the same color as we used for the background here, so we can create some tags but using the same hue values. So all right, so far so good. Now I'm going to group this one as well. Let's select all of them, and let's use distribute horizontal spacing. All right, so far so good. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to create some subsections below, and let's have a look over here. We used 16. Let's just make it an even rounded number, and over here we're also going to use 16, and this is going to be the explore section. And again, let's use this option. And what we're gonna do is we're going to add some sort of rounded elements to this. So let's go ahead here. Let's use 1. Let's use 2. And we're going to copy the style using Option Command and the C, and then Option Command and V over here. and I definitely don't want them to be as rounded as the one above. So I'm just going to keep it down a notch, and let's also add a view more option, which I'm probably going to steal the style from these tags. So it's going to be Option Command and C in order to copy the style. I'm going to select this one, Option Command and V, and there you go. So far so good. I'm going to keep the view more right over here. We're going to make this one darker. All right. So at this point we're going to add some sort of text here above, and this is going to be well, let's just keep the text as it is for now. We're also going to have a like yeah, maybe a heart, that will do. So similar to Instagram, and oops, let's add it over here. And we're going to add some sort of elements over here. So maybe let's use the Unsplash plugin as someone suggested yesterday. Sorry, I can't remember your name, but that was definitely a good one. So as you see, it's taking a moment to load up, and basically right here we can have a look at a few different images directly from Unsplash, and kind of sort it out. So let's have a look here, see if something around these lines could work. Maybe this is interesting in this composition, and yeah, we kind of need to find some sort of theme. Maybe let's see if there is anything like 3D. Yeah, this would be interesting. Maybe this one. Let's use TikTok over here. And let's change the color of the text. Let's bring them just right here. And let's make these guys white, maybe at 50% opacity. So it's gonna be Twitter. And yeah, so far so good. I'm actually wondering if I want to just bring down the opacity. Yeah, okay, that'll do, I guess. So cool. Oh, I'm also really liking these ones. Maybe it's going to be more interesting. So whenever I'm battled between like two styles, what I like to do is to simply put them side by side and seeing which one works the best, really. So these ones are pretty interesting. It makes the composition pop a little bit more. And let's appreciate this one here. So change it to Snapchat and to Instagram. And I think that we're going to go towards this direction even more. And I don't really like the titles anymore on top of the images, so let's just remove them. And what we're gonna do is we're going to create another row right here. And I'm actually wondering if it's better to create like one single bigger row. Yeah, let's give it a shot. So we can create like a bigger image and then have some sort of like a layer below, which is going to have some more specific informations. So maybe something around these lines. Let's remove the shadows. Yup, there we go. We need some sort of a different image right here, since we want the composition to fit properly. Not really feeling it so far. Okay, this one is working better. Maybe we can just raise it up like that. All right. And what we're gonna do also is we're going to simply make the radius, and I'm using the option key in order to not change the radius of all of these guys. Still doing it. Oh, actually I use the command key, my bad. And yeah, there we go. Right, let's remove the drop shadow. And what I'm gonna do right here is I'm actually going to remove, or actually just hide the layout grids, since I don't think we need them anymore, at least for the time being. And what we're gonna do is, I'm actually wondering if, oops, there is a better way to display all of this stuff. Let's go over here. So as you can see, I'm just adjusting the composition in order to make sure that it fits well with the entire theme of the app. And for some reason, I'm not really feeling it 100%. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to create another row below, or actually. So as you can see, unless you have a strict wireframe and design in mind prior starting the project, there are going to be elements of exploration pretty much all of the time. And this is going to be key in your design career, since it's just part of the design process. You never fully know what you're going to create until you actually go ahead and start creating stuff and playing around with elements and compositions. And granted, in this case, we don't really have a specific goal, since this is something that we're creating out of pleasure, and it's a tutorial. But when you're dealing with client projects, there's going to be a lot of exploration involved. So yeah, it's just part of the process, really. So let's go ahead here, and we're going to use another. Actually, let's keep that one on Explore. It's going to be social networks, and we're gonna keep the view more. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to add a button at the very end, and let's also add a bottom menu first. So we're going to have a hamburger menu of some sort in the middle, and let's go ahead and let's go overhead here, and let's add actually another icon, since the other one was a little bit problematic. Maybe let's add a home screen, and let's have a look around. Looking for something minimal. Actually, let's filter by just outline. Probably, yeah, I would say probably if I just import like this one, and I remove this icon inside of it, it's going to be fine. All right, cool. So far, so good. Let's unframe this one, and let's add two other elements. First one is going to be a cog icon, and the second one is going to be some sort of other menu. See if I can find something interesting, or a profile icon. Yeah, that will work. Cool. Now, whenever you're dealing with line icons, you want to be sure that the lines, the stroke of the icons is going to be similar within one another. Let's mark this guy here, and just going to go with 2. This one's gonna be 2, and this one is a little bit more tricky to select. This one is already 2. Okay, perfect. So as you can see, we want to keep the consistency, and the easiest way to see it up front is to simply put them side by side. If they work side by side, they're going to work also at a bigger distance between one another. I'm just going to select all of these guys, use distribute horizontally, and I'm going to center all of this and use same color right here, 50% opacity, and let's change the color of this one as well. And the home is going to have the main blue color. So far so good. And let's go ahead over here, change this one to the gray of the line. And yeah, so far so good. So let's bring this one just a little bit, make it smaller. And now it's time to actually create the call to action buttons below. So this one is going to be a discover now. And we're probably not going to make it as big. I'm actually wondering if it's going to be more cool to not have, actually let's do one thing first. Just want to make the drop shadows a little bit more intense since they're quite in your face at the moment. Let's bring this guy down. Let's bring this one down as well. And I'm not sure if we want a drop shadow on this one, maybe just a bit. So what I was saying before I got distracted, I was wondering if this one here would be more beneficial to create like a different type of separation between the menu and the icons. So probably going to give it a shot and just add a drop shadow right here. Yeah, could work. All right, so far so good. I need to copy this style right here. And probably want to give this button a different look. So let's try and create like a linear differentiation between one color and the other. Something very subtle like this would actually do the job. All right, so far so good. And we're kind of having some issues here with the spacing. Maybe we need something else, or we want to add a new element. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually questioning if it's alright just to keep it like that. Maybe adding like some text. We can definitely add some text below. Maybe it's going to be, so here we have discover now, and below we can have something like view all the experiences, and we're going to add a icon of an eye. All right. So far, so good. Let's make it a little bit thicker, 1.5. And yeah, this one is definitely looking good. Let's play around with the colors. Probably that previous one was better. Okay, so yeah, there you go. So as you can see, this was a bit of like explorations and trying things out directly in Figma. And we can create also like variations of this. So as you can see, if I bring it over here, we can have like 2 different styles, and just the images alone create quite a bit of visual differentiation between these two between these 2 screens. And let's actually go ahead and create a dark version of this one. I'm really curious to see how would that work and play out in this specific instance. So before leaving you, I'm going to do also that one. And let's go ahead here, or even a blue version. That actually looks pretty cool. We can create we can add a different color right here for the main call to action. Maybe we don't want to go like too much on the yellow side. This one is starting to look pretty interesting. Let's create also another variation. So as you can see, once you have the very first screen, I'm going to remove the layout grids for these 2 elements. Okay. As you can see, once you have the very first screen, it's going to be like very easy to create variations of the original. So basically you can work around your magic directly from the original one. And yeah, I'm just going to like create a fast dark screen. Of course, we can go much more in depth than this. And yeah, this one is starting to look pretty interesting. Let's go ahead over here, change this one, maybe something a little bit more subtle. Maybe let's make all of them, yeah, let's just leave it like this, make this one white. So yeah, there we go. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And of course, the very last part would be to actually double checking everything and renaming the layers and grouping them together. We're going to avoid that just because it's it doesn't really take all that much time, but it's a little bit tedious. But yeah, let's this is pretty much it for this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.